And we're coming to you live from the Bill Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are on the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. Boomer is out the rest of the week. So I've got a co-host to my right that hosted with me a few days last summer. And from the time that he left the shows last summer here at WFAN, the time now that he is back, a lot has changed. A lot has changed with him in this place. A lot has changed just all around WFAN, and he was heavily involved. I thought he was just coming in and bopping in for a couple of shows last summer. Little did I know he was sowing his oats or leaving his seed around here the last time he left this building because he was trying to get in. He was trying to get in. It was like, hey, gee, man, I just want to host a couple shows on WFAN. Next thing you know, there's little Stu Gotz breadcrumbs around and all this stuff. Then he's on the phone with Olivero because Spike's leaving, and then he pretends he wants to be the program director.
What
just
do
to
you
get
mean
in.
pretend, dude?
Just,
Like, what are you talking about?
Just so he can come here and stab someone in the back. So now he's back as if he drags this whole process on for months and months. And I'm like thinking, it's going to be cool to work with Stu Gotz just to pull out in the last second.
Right.
So now you've come back to host again. So you've gone full circle. You came in here, you dumped all the files on the floor, you shook the place up like a snow globe, and then went back to your comfy bed in South Florida.
I did.
Good morning, Stu Gotz. How are you?
Good morning, Gio. How are you? How are you today, Gio?
How are you today? I'm doing great, man. It is good to see you, but obviously I can't just be like, hey, Carlos Rodon pitched well last night and start the show there after everything that has gone on with you in this particular place. So let's get into it.
It feels different. I got to tell you, one thing that hasn't changed, the lack of water, the lack of attention. I mean, you would think Al Dukes would reach out to me at any point. Hey, Stu Gotz is filling in for 4 days. He was here last summer.
You were practically going to be running the place. I figured you knew everything.
I mean, the entrance has changed. My name wasn't at the desk. Yeah. There is still no water. There's no food here.
No.
I said it last year. I'll say it again. I thought this was going to be better. And it's not. And nothing has improved. I mean, who was in charge of this place?
Well, this is the way it's always going to be. First of all, this is the thing you need to understand about Al in this point in his career. Like he does the warm-up show. That's important to him. The podcast is important to him. He still works hard with us when the show is together, but someone like you who he doesn't particularly care for, he's not going to go out of his way. He's not going to go out of his way to break his routine to make sure that you're comfortable.
I got to tell you, I heard Al yesterday on the show say that he was not fond of me, and it hurt. It cut deep, Al.
No, Gio said that. I said you're a very dominating personality to be around.
You said I don't like him.
No, Gio said you don't like him.
I said, to clarify, I said I don't. I don't
shoving
think
words in Al's mouth.
Well,
not really.
I feel like I've known Al. I've worked with Al now for almost a full 7 years. So I feel like even when Al doesn't tell me something, I know how he feels. So, and I can read people. Now, he's never said to me, I dislike Stu Gotz or I don't like Stu Gotz. But his reaction, like even the way he said your name this morning when you were filling in, I could feel it through the radio, listening in the traffic in the BQ ears. Like, we've got Gio and Stu Gotz is here today.
So he wasn't excited, right?
No, just like,
got Gio and Stu Gotz today on the Fan. Very excited.
No.
It was Gio and Stu Gotz.
And he was like, and Diana Rossini's coming in, so it's like the Dan Le Batard show from 10 years ago. So I was like, see, it's stuff like that. He won't flat out say that he doesn't like you. You just got to find the truth somewhere in there. But I do believe that he's telling the truth when he doesn't. He's a very routine guy. He likes the same things. And then when someone like you comes into his world and he's got to deal with it, it just throws him off.
And it's exhausting for Al.
Right. So you can't take it personally. I mean, anybody with a personality will come in here and Al will be like, just stop, get away from me. I got enough problems.
All right, Eddie, I'll get to you in just a second. But deal with what? He hasn't called me. He hasn't sent me a text. He doesn't care if I arrived okay. Doesn't care if my name's at the entrance. I mean, I'm fighting with security for the second consecutive year. What is he dealing with exactly? Well, I mean, I come in, I do the show, I try to bring some guests, I try to bring some energy at 6 in the morning. But for the love of God, I'm staying in a bed. Listen, the room I'm in, okay?
Yeah, I've been in that hotel many times.
Last year I went to Olivero, okay? Yeah. And I was staying 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
This year I went through a Hurley who got the PD job because I turned it down. And this guy put me, I am telling you, he put me in a room that has a bed.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that hotel.
Yes. Yeah.
It's right down the block. It is convenient. But Hurley's doing what a good WFAN PD should do, is to make sure that he's not spending money on things that don't matter. Right?
Like water
me.
and food.
Right.
Yeah, like water, food.
Like the essentials.
And the guy who turned down the job that he got. Like he's going to make sure
sticking it to me right now.
Right. He was originally going to give you a blanket and some scaffolding to sleep under. But that was
it would have been better.
Inhumane.
Yeah.
So all right. So if listeners are joining us and are not sure what the hell is going on,
We're sorry.
obviously you are someone who was in the news around here because after filling in, Spike Eskin, our program director, quit, and he decided to go back to Philadelphia. And that's fine. We're happy for him. But it opened up a job here that we didn't expect. So all of a sudden, because, Chernoff was getting towards the end of his career. So I think we kind of knew that someone had to take over for Chernoff. When Spike got hired, it was like, okay, Spike's going to be here for 10, 15 years, whatever. Then all of a sudden, he's gone. So it's like everybody is scrambling and saying, well, who's going to be the PD? And then you just happen to burrow your way into that conversation in the way that you're very skilled to do.
Yep.
And then it dragged on for a while. It didn't work out. So I guess ultimately, and I know you've talked about it a little bit on your show, and you came on here, but ultimately, what was the reason why it didn't happen?
Ultimately, it came down to money. I mean, I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Eventually, I love producing. I love taking what I have learned over the 20 years of doing this and kind of dumping it back into something I love, be it our show, be it our company with me at Lebitard or here at WFAN. Eventually, I've told you this a number of times, Gio. I am not going to do this until I'm 60 years old.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be one of those guys like Hank Goldberg, like Mike Francesa.
Hank Goldberg's dead. I mean, I think that's kind of a...
Too soon?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 5 years ago. I mean, what do you want me to do?
It's all good.
But eventually, I will dissolve because I don't want to do this as I age and as I get worse and worse and as the memory gets worse and worse and as... I'm not as big a sports fan as I was in my 20s or 30s because life gets in the way. And so what it really got down to was we have a successful show. We have a 20th year anniversary coming up in September.
Nice.
Oliveira was great. We had great conversations, got to know him very, very well. And it really came down to money. But it's a different time. This job probably paid 10 times more 10 years ago than what it pays today because radio, as you know, is dying a very slow death. But not here. Not here.
Right, not here is right. Not here. And radio, I think, traditionally, listening over the air and music radio is a different thing. But, live and local news and sports talk, no matter how you consume it, I think will be around. And obviously this radio station certainly will. So, all right. So then, after that, I think another concern from this side,
yes,
obviously with the money, but from this side and why it wasn't like, all right, maybe they're not going to go the extra mile to give you what you want financially is the fact that you'd be lurking and ready to, like Nancy Kerrigan, one of the hosts, when they weren't looking, like that. Like
that was really, listen, you cut right through it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That was the main problem.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to be able to sit here, be the program director, be in charge, have total authority here, final decision-making, and not fire someone whose job it is that I wanted. And that someone probably would have been Evan Roberts.
Oh, God.
I'm a loser.
I mean, listen, I would fit in, okay? I'm happy. Like, if Evan and Tiki want a third person, I would do it that way.
Well, they do already.
What do you mean? They want a third person?
No, they already do have a third person. Sean Morash is essentially their third person.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's like stands in the control room, but I think they were afraid of recreating the CMB disaster and saying we're doing another 3-person show in the afternoon. So they stuck him in the control room to pretend he's not a host, but he really is a host. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand that. That's unfair. Sean should get into the studio. What are they doing to him?
Well, maybe at some point.
Why are people like so adverse to 3-people shows here? Like it can't work.
Well, you want the real answer to that?
I
mean,
would.
do you remember the disaster that was that CMB situation when they gave them like 3 months and then Francesa came back in and just stomped their heads into the ground?
I mean,
and then they moved them to middays and then one by one they each left.
Why did Francesa come back? Refresh me here.
Well, that show was struggling, and to me, it wasn't.
Wait, so Mike was doing it for the greater good of the station,
Essentially,
not for Mike, for the station.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Right, okay.
the way he tells it is like, they begged me to come back. David Field was on my doorstep. He was groveling, and I said, "Listen, get up. You don't have to be on your knees. Okay, you can get up. We can have a conversation." But they needed me to save the station, so I came back. And then it's tough for them to fill in for a legend and to take over. Yeah. So I mean, that's basically what happened was that. So then he came back, and they moved them to middays, and then Carlin got whacked, and then Bart left for ESPN, and then Maggie they banished to the Upside Down. So that's why they don't want a 3-person show again, because people are like, oh, you already did this.
I know, but
you already did a 3-person show, you idiots. You didn't learn anything from that.
Just because it failed once doesn't mean it would fail a second time.
That's fair.
I mean, perhaps you had the wrong 3 in there.
Well,
I'm very uncomfortable. I'm not, but I am. I'll say it just for the sake of saying it, of sitting here saying whose job it is that I would take.
You don't seem all that uncomfortable, man.
Why can't I just fit into another show? I got one radio contract left in my career. I'm 51 years old. By the way, I think it was Jerry Recco yesterday who said I was in my mid-50s. Jerry, I'm 51. All right.
Well,
I mean, I'm 51 years old. And by the way, listening to your opening segment yesterday, you would think the Yankees are the worst organization in the history of baseball.
Well, we'll get to that later. I don't want to talk baseball right now. All right, we'll get to that later. We got 3 more hours to get into all that bull crap.
I just wanted to thank you.
Okay.
Because I bet the Yankees yesterday.
All right.
I'm like, if these two are going to bash the Yankees that badly, sports radio is going to happen. They're going to win 9-1 today.
Yeah. Well, Jerry and I did actually like the Yankees and the Mets yesterday, but didn't put the bet on it because the odds weren't great. But yes.
All right. So, Gio, listen, you have identified the exact problem here and why I am not the program director.
Okay.
Right?
So,
listen, there is no way I'd be sitting there. Afternoons go down a 1/10 of a point, and I'm taking their jobs. And so what I did, I did this, much like Mike did it for WFAN, I did it for the sake of WFAN because I love this place so much, and I respect the people who work here so much. No, I really do.
Yeah, you do.
I was not going to be able to resist the temptation to get rid of someone so I could take their job.
Okay.
And so what I did is I decided, you know what? If it's every July with Gio and they're not going to leave my name at the desk here to get in, I'll take it. I'll take 2 to 4 shows a year rather than taking a job where all I'm doing is hoping that Evan or Tiki get arrested the night before so I can have their job the next day. Okay?
Well, yes, and it took me about 3 months to get a job after an arrest. But yes, it does happen. It does happen. But yeah, so I'm glad that you're back, and it is more exciting than your regular summer fill-in show. But I guess, I mean, is before I get to the BT and Sal stuff too, because I want to get into that as well. But but is the chapter closed now? Like, are you now having gone back to Dan? You say the 20 years. I mean, you're like, okay, I tried this, it didn't work. Obviously, this is something that I want to do, but it's probably not going to work. Are you still going to be hovering like a turkey buzzard over a carcass? Is that sort of, are you still going to be around if shakeups happen? Are you sort of like, you know what, clean break, I'm done with this whole FAN thing?
If a shakeup happens, the first call Olivero will get is from me.
Okay. All right, just being honest, I like it.
So what I'm saying is, I'm in a contract year, all right?
Oh, you are right now?
Yeah, and I have one contract left in which I want to be on air. And so I am telling the people here that run WFAN, this will be your last opportunity to get me, okay? That contract's up in about 7 to 8 months. Could be longer. I have no idea. I am telling you, I'm doing one more go here.
Yeah.
I got 3 more years left on air, and then I'm going to go somewhere, and I'm going to disappear.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm very
So
much
this is
looking
a
forward
threat.
to that.
This is a threat to Odyssey right now. If you don't get me now,
What a
you're
great
never going to get me.
If you want to end my career correctly, okay? Don't worry about anything here at WFAN.
Yeah, right.
If you want me to stick the landing,
Mm-hmm.
if you want me to be Kerry Strug, okay?
With the broken leg or the ankle, yes.
She stuck the landing. Then you have one more chance. That's all I'm saying. So I have resigned myself to the fact that this is never going to happen on a full-time basis. If it doesn't, I'm fine as long as you have me back every July.
Yeah.
With no water, no food, no name at the security desk.
Sure.
Okay?
Easy. Done.
I am good with that 1 week out of the year. But I will tell WFAN if they want a storybook ending, if they want to bring me home to New York and have me fulfill my dream of being a full-time host at WFAN,
Right.
main day parts, preferably not mornings, this is the chance, and this is the last chance you have.
Yeah, you really
to
don't
get
like
me.
doing mornings, man.
Okay.
It is amazing. You really don't like getting up.
And you really do.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you learn. I don't love getting up. None of us love getting up, but what we love about it is morning drive, which is the greatest to have ever done radio or in morning drive.
Yeah.
And also you have the rest of the day, especially, when you like to do things during the day, as opposed to having to, commute longer and everything else. It's just it's a great, to me, I wouldn't want to do any other day part. All right, so next thing, before we get to CeeLo and his update. You've worked with CeeLo a few times before, right, Chris Lepresti?
Yeah, he was here last year.
He was here last year,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
You looked in there for confirmation to say, yes, he was
did.
here last year, correct?
I was hoping Eddie would shake his head. Yes, he did not. No, and Al stopped trying. I mean, that's
Yes,
clear.
right. So you got, I don't even know how this happened. How did you get into this spat with BT and Sal? How did it even start? I remember going back and forth where, they were doing the thing, those guys, I don't know who they are, Stu Gotz and Lebeturd, and then, that whole thing. But what was the genesis of that? I guess a clip was played on your show of them screaming about something, and then Dan was making fun of it for being traditional sports talk radio or something. What was the genesis
I
of
think
that?
they started the beef. It was. By the way, I'm terrified of those guys. I'm just going to say it right now.
Yeah.
Because yesterday I heard you talking about the tension that might exist with me just being here.
Yeah.
And and you're right. I have gone at it with Sal specifically, and as is Dan. But those guys are like sports radio goons, dude. Like I have a top 5 list of sports radio goons. Those guys are 1, 2.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, I am telling you, Sal and BT came in. BT, he towers me.
Yeah.
He's a tall dude. He had a hoodie on with the hood on.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
I was talking to his stomach, and then I turned around, and what was in my face was Sal's bicep. They are right up there with Sid Rosenberg in terms of intimidation. And so I am terrified when they come in here at 10 o'clock today.
Well,
like Sal could end me in 1 minute.
No, Sal's a smaller guy. BT could. Sal's a little bit of a smaller guy.
I wouldn't be as worried about Sal.
Yeah, Sal's like 5'9". He really won't do anything. Like he's a lot of bark, no bite. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Well, BT will beat the hell out of you and take pictures. Like you know what I'm saying? That's the difference.
So my strategy today was, we have Diana Rossini in at 9 o'clock. There is no way they're going to kick my ass in front of Diana Rossini.
8 o'clock. She'll be gone by 9.
Oh, she'll be gone. Oh, I'm in trouble. I thought this was 9 a.m. I mean, I am in business. Are you going to help me out?
Yeah,
I know Al's
maybe.
not.
We'll see. All right, so the beef all starts. So what? I thought you and Sal liked each other.
I love Sal. I'm serious. But Sal, I'm afraid Sal might not be in on the joke. Like, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to take the program director's job and fire Sal and take his job.
Right.
I mean, Olivero would have never let that. I would do it. But Olivero said no.
Right.
And so
you think that's what got him was maybe some like insecurities coming out with you being the PD and him you hanging around and him being sort of fresh and this is his first full-time job type of thing. And then he wanted to fight back and be like, I'm here. Well, he said, you're not good enough. That's what it was. The line was, he wants to work here, but he's not good enough to work here.
No, and Sal is right. I'm not good enough to work here. I was only good enough to be his boss.
Wow, I love this. This is good.
I love you, Sal. Listen, this is what WFAN is all about. A guy like Sal grew up, loves the radio station, fought hard to get on this radio station, and now he's on this radio station in the main day part.
Yeah.
I am happy for Sal. If Sal is somehow bitter at me for something, for God forbid, going after the PD job because I felt like I could make his show and WFAN better. If he wants to be mad at that, he can be mad at that. There's nothing I can do. I'm terrified of the guy. I don't want to see him. I'm going to try to hug him, okay?
Yeah.
I want to end this thing. I want to squash it. But I have a feeling they're going to squash me. I am terrified of these guys. They're right up there with Dan Sileo.
Dan Sileo.
In terms of like top 5 sports radio goons.
Yeah, so people need to look up Dan Sileo. Dan Sileo, actually, him and Boomer, I think, played together at some point.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that guy he's a maniac in a good way. He's entertaining.
Oh, he's great
to me. But yeah, he is a big, intimidating dude.
So,
all right.
So they said what they had to say. Dan and I, Dan would be the first one to tell you he, too, is terrified of Sal Lagana, okay? Like, we're all terrified down there of Sal.
Yeah.
I'm a tough guy from 3,000 miles away.
Sure.
But you'll see when Sal gets in here today, me trying to sweet-talk my way out of this.
Yeah, I think you're misconstruing, like BT is the guy who I honestly think would punch you in the face.
Really?
Like Sal, I don't think would.
Okay.
I don't think Sal would punch you in the face.
I think Sal's very talented. I think BT is very, very talented. They have a good show.
Yeah.
All 3 shows here are good. I'm not even certain what I would have done if I was the program director. All 3 shows are really, really good. What I would have done is inserted myself into every single show.
Oh, yeah, right. Anytime someone was off or whatever, and you try to intentionally get somebody in trouble.
There would have been days where you had no idea you were off, but you were off. You get in and I'm sitting in your seat.
Yeah, it would have been awkward, but fun at the same time.
I'll tell you this though, Al, big promotion. Had I taken the PD, Al would have gotten a big promotion. Eddie, a bigger one.
Yeah,
how about that?
This is the beauty of you is you just.
But now we'll never know.
When you identify people not liking you, you do such an amazing job of getting them to like you again. Like you're a sorcerer in that way. Like what I just saw you were like a loom that was weaving a quilt just now. Like without even realizing how it was working.
Right.
Like I'm terrified of these guys. These guys do a great show. You do all of these things. Al, big promotion. Eddie, bigger promotion. You find this way where people are like, man, I don't like that guy. And then you say something like, you know what? He's not so bad.
But I liked him. I never said I didn't like him. I do like you.
No, I know. Listen, I made a colossal mistake last time I was here, and Eddie was mad at me. It was the original Mike and the Mad Dog producer, I think, right? You asked me a series of questions.
Yeah,
I got it wrong.
You didn't remember. You didn't know who Dove Kramer was.
And Eddie called me a fraud.
Yeah, that's what it was.
He didn't
yeah.
say it out loud, but I know he was thinking it for an entire year.
I'll say it out loud, and I stand by it.
Okay, well, thank you, Eddie.
No problem.
I appreciate the honesty.
But it doesn't mean I don't like you.
No, and listen, but what I'm telling you is that moment has stuck with me for an entire year. So as disappointed as you are with me, I'm disappointed in myself. Like, I've thought about it every day for a year. Yeah, like, how did I get that wrong? You can't say how much you love the station,
and
the
then
history
not
of
know
the
who
station,
Dove Kramer is,
and then not know that.
Yeah, all right.
It was a terrible job I made.
Tony's.
I would have fired myself.
Tony's in Pennsylvania. Hello, Tony.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, good, Tony.
Hey, look, long-time listener, loved your show. Stu Gotz. I loved you on your other program.
Yeah.
You need to stop talking.
You're right.
You over the whole show this morning.
You're 100% right.
You got 4 days.
You're right. You're right.
To just get everything out.
Don't burn up all the material in one segment, huh, Tom?
Exactly.
Yeah, listen, you should be the PD here.
Right.
They should have hired Tony,
Yeah,
the PD.
thanks, Tony. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point.
It is.
You're really just blowing your load right here in the first 20 minutes.
I mean, listen, you've been trying to start. I can't curse. I got to be careful. I can't curse.
Yeah.
You're stirring it up. I mean, you did it yesterday. We were on a group text with Ryan. I mean, Rossini's coming in at 8. You said, hey, that's a good job of program directing.
I
said, really, you're starting bleep already?
I mean, yes. I mean,
do you know why she's coming in?
Well, yeah, she's gonna talk about the Jets, Giants, and all that stuff. It's great. Yeah, we'll do that. But we just went over this whole thing, and even if this didn't happen, I would have started the show this way anyway.
Right.
This whole thing about how Craig and Susan Waldman do Yankee games together, and Craig came on to tell it, and then they didn't even ask any questions about Susan Waldman. So you can't sit here after all the stuff that happened and then me talk about Carlos Rodon. We're going to get it all out.
I know.
And then we might reference it later so people understand what's going on, and then that's it.
All right.
It's all good. It's not starting stuff. It's doing radio.
How do you feel about Craig calling a game?
I think it's great. I think it's entertaining.
Right.
I am not one of these, like, I don't get my panties in a knot over these things like some people do. It's the Yankee broadcast, blah, blah, blah. I think it's fun. And by the way, my point yesterday was, it's not as if he's coming in and kicking Vin Scully out of the booth. The guys that have been filling in other than Ricky Ricardo were two guys in their 20s.
Right.
I mean, so it's like big deal. We're talking about the Yankee broadcast and the legend of the Yankee broadcast. I mean, you got two guys like who were in college 6 months ago calling the games.
How does Sterling feel about it?
I don't know. It's an interesting question.
I would believe that lifelong old school Yankee fans
would hate it. Yeah.
They don't feel like the Yankees need gimmicks or promotions.
Right.
I'm not saying that's what this is. I don't know if Craig takes this seriously or not.
He will. I think he will. Yeah.
But does he fancy himself a play-by-play guy? Is this something he wants to do?
I think he did.
Right.
Back in the day, I think a lot of people had that dream.
So I'm with you. Like, I'm totally fine with it. I just wonder how old school Yankee fans feel about Craig Carton coming in, calling a Yankee game. I would tell you this. It's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
I'm happy for Craig, but yes.
All right, we'll get more into it in a little bit later because I like that. I like the fact that you've got to take on that, and we'll get it. We're like 15 minutes past the break, so
that's because I won't shut up.
Yeah,
get that back.
Yeah, Tony in Pennsylvania. All right, it's Boomer and Gio. It's Stu Gotz in
Tony.
for Boomer the rest of the week. We'll get CeeLo in here, give you the Met and Yankee highlights from a winning Monday night.